Now I take privilege in welcoming our chief guest, Mr. Naveen Chand, Managing Director of Mission Ignite Services Private Limited. As the founder and managing director of Mission Ignite, he oversees the training strategies like designing curriculum, implementing suitable training programs with the objective of increasing placement rates among the engineering students that have led over 30,000 students to be trained on communication, aptitude, and programming skills in order to be better equipped for their careers through placements. Having been educated in US and Japan, Mr. Naveen brings a unique perspective to the industry, having held roles in teaching, training, information technology, enabled service operations, and team management. We take great deal of pleasure in welcoming you, sir. Over to you, sir. Sir, please unmute and talk, sir.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, congratulations on gaining admission into such a prestigious college and university. As your principal sir said, I hope that this is the beginning of a wonderful journey where you can fulfill whatever dreams you have now and what you will create over the next few years. To begin with, I just wanted to introduce myself first. My name is Naveen Chand. I am the managing director of a company called Mission Ignite, based out of Hyderabad and Bangalore. We were set up in 2014 with the objective of helping students understand what to do with their careers and how best they can maximize their chances of fulfilling their dreams in terms of getting employment. To tell you a little bit about my background, I was born in a small town in Andhra Pradesh. I was very fortunate to have a father who was a scientist who was working in the US, and then he moved to Japan. I lived in the US for about 5 years. I lived in Japan for about 11 years. I finished most of my education abroad and then came back to India about 20 years ago. So after coming back, I held various roles in the IT industry and IT-enabled services industry in communication, operations, and leadership. And back in 2012, I got my first exposure into working with a college and the Indian education system here. Because prior to that, I did not attend any college here in India. So it was a little bit of a different experience to get into the Indian education system. When I first joined, I joined as a lecturer in the English department, overseeing placement and training activities for the college. And slowly I started moving up the ladder, so to speak, becoming the head of the English department and head of the training and placement department. And I noticed that one of the biggest challenges back then was that a lot of the students don't really have a clue about what they want to do with their career until they come to the third year or to the fourth year of their education. Whether they're from the circuit branches, computer science, electronics, electrical, or from mechanical, civil, aeronautical that we had then, people were still a little confused about what to do until it was at the very end of their four-year education. And one of the things that I really wanted to do by setting up my company was to help these students understand that this is not something that you can sort of wing, that you can just push off until your third year or fourth year. This is something that takes a lot of preparation. I know a lot of you must be euphoric, ecstatic, happy that you got admission into a prestigious college, prestigious university, into your prestigious branch of choosing. I know that you must have thought that this is going to be a time of learning filled with enjoyment as well as experience. And you're right. The 4 years that you're going to have now will not be as fruitful for your career and for your life if you don't enjoy them. Okay, there's no doubt about it. This is the time for you to build experience, to gain understanding and knowledge, experience new things, learn about new things, and all those things. But if you don't have an underlying plan for what you want to do, if you're not serious about what you need to do, then it is going to be really difficult for you if you get stuck at the 4th year beginning, if you're thinking about what to do next in your career. So today, your college I'm very privileged to get this opportunity to speak to your students to help you understand my topic today, which is the importance of branding yourself. Okay, and I wanted to spend some time with you, not to give you a lecture, not to give you fear or to instill any kind of doubt or fear about yourself or what's going to happen, but rather I wanted to share some experiences and give you some guidance on what you can do to make your journey simpler from now onwards. Okay, so let me start right now by explaining this. There is in this world an innate desire for people to look at the brand of something before they purchase it, before they purchase something. We see this with clothes, we see this with automobiles, we look at cell phones, we look at laptops, we look at shoes, we look at watches. Whenever we look at any item, a lot of the people don't necessarily just look at the quality of the product, but they look at the brand. The reason why people look at the brand is not just because to satisfy your personal ego or to satisfy somebody else's ego that you are capable of purchasing the brand, but it's because people associate some sort of values to a particular brand. Like, for example, if you're looking at a cell phone, right? If you're looking at a cell phone, one of my younger brothers, a relative of mine, wanted to buy a cell phone recently. And I was trying to tell him that there was a new phone that was being launched by Motorola. Now, he wanted to buy a phone that he was recommended about by a friend by a company called InPlus, INPLUS. Now, I had never known about that particular company. I have never heard about that particular phone company, but I do know Motorola. I know the brand Motorola because there is a certain level of quality, reputation that is associated with that particular brand. So I, knowing about the value of a brand, was trying to explain to him about the value of going with a reputed brand, but he couldn't understand because he didn't know the difference. Now, when you come out of your 4 years of education, whether you choose to go for higher education, whether it is in India or abroad, whether it is entrepreneurship, where you want to start your own business, maybe by doing some kind of research and development, or to join or to start your own company, product development company, maybe a research company, or whether you want to get into employment, which is to get a job. Whether you go into any one of these 3 verticals, you will be interviewed. People will assess you, evaluate you for something or the other. If you go in for a GRE exam or a GMAT exam, there is a personal interview involved after the test. Any kind of public service employment or private service employment will have interviews where people will evaluate your attitude and your character and your resume and what you've done over the last 4 years that qualifies you to get that particular job. Even if you want to start your own business, you will need to be evaluated by somebody who looks at your business model, maybe someone who is a venture capitalist who might need to fund your business. Maybe it's someone who needs to approve your business. Maybe it's some sort of licensing that you need to have. Or maybe it's someone that you need to meet to convince them that your product or your idea is good enough to start a particular company. No matter whether it is employment, entrepreneurship, or higher education, people are going to evaluate you. And when people evaluate you, you need to set yourself apart. People need to know what you stand for. What are the qualities? What are the characteristics that make you different from everybody else? That's the brand that you need to create for yourself. And today I wanted to share with you things that you need to do now, which will take time for that brand to be created. It's not something that you can do just before you start attending interviews in your 4th year. That's not what's going to happen. You will need to create a brand, and that takes time and effort. And that needs to start today. It doesn't need to start 10 days from now or 20 days from now when your college starts, or 20 days from now, or 1 month from now, or 1 semester from now, after you've enjoyed one semester with your friends, or blowing off the steam of the pressure of your 10th and your +2 examinations. It starts right now. It starts with you understanding that everything that you have done so far with your career and that you're going to do now onwards, that is going to determine the brand that you create for yourself. Okay? So my advice to you today, I'm going to be throwing out a lot of ideas. If you would like to make some notes, go ahead. If you would not, if you just like to listen, that's fine. I'm usually pretty good at helping people remember the key points of what I want to tell them, so you will be able to understand what I want to say. Okay, so let me start by saying this. Your principal, sir, when he gave the orientation to this particular day's meeting, to my speech today, he was absolutely right. There is an importance of building your resume. Companies will look at your resume. Investors will look at your resume. Colleges will look at your resume. And I know, because I'm somebody who has gone through all 3 of these things. I did my higher education in Japan and in the US. I started my own company back in 2014. And I also worked in IT companies in various roles. So I have experience in both entrepreneurship, employment, as well as education. So your resume is going to be really important, because your resume is your advertisement to the person who's evaluating you. Now, the resume is just a piece of paper. Don't worry about the actual resume. I'm not talking about the font or the style or the length of the resume, or what size the letters are, how big the resume is. That's not what I'm talking about, or the design or the template. I'm talking about the things that you mention in the resume. So if you look at your resume, right, a typical resume, and I know that most of you have not built a resume, but in most of your resumes, there is a certain structure that needs to be followed. There are certain key components to every resume. People look at your educational background. People will look at what projects you have done. People will look at what seminars or presentations you've attended or delivered, what papers you have published, what projects you have finished, what extracurricular activities you are part of, what certifications you're able to get, your hobbies, your family maybe. These are the things that comprise your resume. These are the things that add weightage to your resume. So the more things you do, the more weightage you will have to your resume. Right? So your principal, sir, was absolutely right. You need to participate in as many things as possible. Okay. Now, but the resume is the basic summary of the things that you have done. Those are things that you can show. Those are things that are visible to the naked eye. You have proof of the certifications that you've completed, the seminars that you've attended, the conferences that you've participated in, the papers that you've published, the languages that you've learned, the projects that you have completed. All those things are physically, tangibly proven. But today, I want to reiterate to you, that is just one part of the brand that you're creating. there is another part of the branding that you need to create. So there's an example that I'd like to give. I hope you guys know what an iceberg is. If you don't know what an iceberg is, try to remember about the movie Titanic. Right? You know what an iceberg is now, right? An iceberg is basically a big block of ice. Right? Now, why are icebergs dangerous? Icebergs are not dangerous because they're big. If they're big, you can see them and you can avoid them. Icebergs are not dangerous for any other reason except that whatever is visible above the water is not an indication of what lies below. You can look at an iceberg and you might see something that is as big as a laptop or a small object, but underneath it might be huge. Companies, investors, educators know that what is visible to the eye is not exactly what is most obvious all the time. Sometimes you can look at some profile, a resume, things that you've done, and it'll look amazing, but there are more intangible features, things that you cannot prove that are very important in building your brand. Okay, all of that can be summed up in one word: attitude. You can do a lot of things. You can participate in a lot of things, whether it's sports or emceeing or presentations or seminars or projects. All those things are all participatory experiences. But it's extremely important to cultivate and brand your attitude. And that is something that you cannot do in 1 month. That is something that needs to become a habit. Something that is so ingrained in your behavior that it's not something that you just learned. That's who you are. That's part of who you are. So when you want to brand yourself, yes, it's absolutely important to brand yourself with participatory experiences. Let me repeat them again. Be proactive, right? Find opportunities where you can participate in as many things as possible. I am a firm believer that you need holistic development, overall, all-round development. One of the reasons why I've been working with your college for the last 5 years is for the same reason. It's not just about the subject knowledge that you gain. It's about being the best individual that you can be by developing other qualities, peripheral qualities that are important to being better in life. So when you start your education, look for opportunities. If you're shy, find an opportunity to overcome that shyness. It's better that you fail now than when you fail 4 years from now. 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, when you need to overcome your shyness, you're going to have a problem if you've not done anything over the last 3 years. Start now. If your problem is that you cannot speak English, start speaking English now. Get used to it. If you have a problem that you're nervous, that you have stage fright, find opportunities where you can go on a stage, whether it's a small PowerPoint presentation or whether it's an emceeing job. Face your fear and overcome that particular challenge. Seek the opportunities. Be proactive. Don't wait for someone to give them to you. They're not going to come. If you really want to do something, if you really want to overcome those limitations, search and seek those opportunities out and start fulfilling those opportunities. You might fail once in a while. The first few steps are not going to be easy. But like I said, it's better that you get the practice now so your future can be easier. It's an investment that you're making now. So I always advise my students, right? If you get an opportunity to speak, speak. Whether it's in class, when a lecturer asks somebody to volunteer, raise your hand and volunteer. Even if you've never done that before, even if you're scared that other people might laugh at you, even if you're scared that your background does not allow you to speak English as good as somebody else. If you are not confident about your abilities, it's okay. Try. Speak as much as you can. Do not fall into the trap of being a backbencher who doesn't talk and just observes everybody else talking. That is the worst mistake that you can make. Okay, so it's very important to get into as many experiences as you can. Join clubs, join sports, learn a language, learn a musical instrument, learn something out of your domain that gives you something. Learn typing. Learn how to make a PowerPoint presentation. Learn how to develop a website. It can be anything, but you must seek out experiences and build as many experiences as possible. Okay? Now, like I said, experiences are only part of what you need to build your brand. The other, like I said, is the attitude part. So let me divert the topic a little bit towards the attitude. It's easier to turn your video off. All right. So, thank you. So let me talk about the attitude here. Right? There are some qualities that define your attitude. I mean, not just some, there are probably a lot of qualities that define your attitude. Today, I wanted to talk to you about 6. These are qualities of your attitude that will help you build character and build your brand. All right? Are you ready for them? The first one is learning. Your willingness to learn something new. Your willingness, your readiness to learn something new. If you are learning at the end of 3 years only the things that were taught to you, it is a huge waste of your attitude and your time. Try to think outside the box. Try to learn something new. Have the attitude that you are not afraid of going outside your comfort zone, outside your regular syllabus, just to learn something new. Try something new. Extremely important. The second aspect of learning is you must learn how to be a quick learner. So your ability to memorize things, concentrate on things, your ability to focus, those are all things that you need to cultivate. So the attitude that we want is that of learning and learning something new and fast. The second quality that I'd like to talk to you about is setting goals for yourself. Okay, let me explain what a goal is in simple language. I'm not going to go to a technical dictionary type definition. I'm just going to tell you what a goal is. All right. A goal is a challenge that you set for yourself. And it's extremely important for you to realize that by the end of that particular, your education here, you will need to have some sort of goals that you have fulfilled. You may not fulfill all your goals. You may not fulfill all your goals, but you must have experience in achieving some goals. And there's a reason behind that. The reason behind that is that you need to know what it feels like to succeed. Because when you succeed at something, your confidence in yourself shoots off. It's off the roof. If you've never experienced success, if you've never felt the joy of reaching or attaining a goal, fulfilling a goal, that is a really, really unfortunate situation to be in. Confidence comes from knowing that you can do something. And that confidence comes when you actually do something. So set goals for yourself and always try to fulfill them. You will not be able to fulfill all your goals, but you will achieve some of them. Just to give you an example, I always wanted to be a basketball player. I was actually the captain of my high school and college basketball team. Wanted to play in the NBA. Broke my kneecap, had surgery, and I could not play basketball again. That was not a goal that I could fulfill. When I was 13 years old, my father sent me to India to finish my 10th class. And I was in India only for my 10th class. I had to learn Hindi as part of the syllabus. I didn't know Hindi. Set a goal for myself. Studied really hard. Passed with 36 marks. Pass mark was 35, I got 36. But you can look at the smile on my face and you can never ever question the pride that I have that I fulfilled my goal. Nobody knows the difficulties that I faced. Nobody knows how important it is. In other people's views, 36 marks might not be a lot. For me, 36 marks in Hindi was the same as the 99 that I got in maths. Set goals for yourself. Experience that feeling of succeeding and winning. Third is productivity. Learn to use your time to the best possible way. Don't do too much, but don't do too little either. Learn how to be productive. Set time for different things. Become efficient in your time management. Learn to do more. Some people think, right? Some people think smart work is better than hard work. In a certain way, smart work is better than hard work. Efficiency sometimes is more important than productivity. But productivity, the sheer volume of numbers, is important. Do not neglect the volume of things that you do, the number of things that you do. Make it as many as you can. The fourth thing that I have is proactiveness. Proactiveness basically means having the attitude of not waiting for someone to tell you what to do. You take initiative, you take the first step in thinking about what needs to be done, and then you take the steps to do it. Do not wait for someone to tell you what to do. Do not expect someone to tell you what to do. And do not come up with excuses that nobody told you what to do. You find out what you need to do. Ask somebody. Ask a senior, ask a faculty member, ask a family member, ask somebody, but find out what you need to do. Don't wait. The next thing I want to talk to you about is teamwork. You are only as good in a team as you are by yourself. What that means is you might be a wonderful performer in a certain particular area, but unless you're able to coexist and survive and improve a team, you will not have the confidence of people that you can work or develop a company or go to an education and be a part of a group. So how do you build teamwork? Start participating in teams. Join clubs, join sports. Learn what it takes to be a good team member. Gain experience. Last thing I want to tell you, the last attitude is interpersonal skills. You need to develop interpersonal skills. And interpersonal skills are the skills required to interact with people. Don't be shy. Don't be nervous. Don't feel inferior. Don't lose confidence. If you don't want all of these things to be done, then you need to start now in developing new friendships, in learning about how relationships work, and start interacting with as many people as possible. Whether it's your faculty, whether it's fellow college students, whether it's students from other colleges, whether it's with people on LinkedIn, on social media, it doesn't matter. But you need to start interacting with people so you can gain experience of what to say, what not to say, when to say it, when not to say it, how to say something and how not to say something. Your ability to interact with people is going to be really, really critical. So these things which I told you are the attitudinal components of what you brand yourself as. When you want to introduce yourself to somebody, take your resume, talk to them, and when they're done talking to you, when you have advertised yourself, they will know about you, who you are, what you stand for, what qualities you possess, what qualities you don't possess, how you're an asset, how you're not an asset. So my recommendation to you is this. Chart out a couple of things that you want. If you have a dream, it's really, really rare that somebody at this stage of their educational career would plan 4 years ahead. It's really, really rare. It doesn't happen normally. In my experience, that has not happened a lot. Okay, but I know that all of you want to get the maximum value for the cost and the time that you're putting in for this education. And if that is the case, if you want to gain maximum value, then you need to start thinking now about how you can brand yourself. What are the qualities that define you? What are the qualities that make you unique? I'm going to leave you today with one last piece of advice. Whether it is getting a job, or whether it is to get into a higher education, or whether it is to get into entrepreneurship and start your own company, it is really, really important to have a dream. I don't want to sound like a father or a teacher trying to lecture you guys on what you should do and what you should not do. This is the time for you to enjoy, to learn new things. You're joining college. This is a new chapter of your life. It is exciting. It is going to be fun. You will meet new people. You will make new friends, no doubt. But don't forget that you need to have a dream. Not only for yourself, but for the people that are looking at you in your family who are trying to make sure that they provide the right kind of support for you. So while you get your education, while you get your you build your relationships with your friends and your faculty and all these people, right? Don't forget to make a dream for yourself. And when you do know what your dream is, then start thinking about what you need to do. Like I said today, what is it that you need to do? What brand it is, what quality it is, what qualities they are that you need to use, that you need to advertise for you to achieve your dream, for you to fulfill your dream. My basketball coach was a man that I greatly admired. At the beginning of every practice and at the end of every practice, he would make us recite a certain mantra, which I wanted to share with you today before we finish our session today. That is, count the cost, pay the price, reap your reward. Count the cost means if you have a dream, figure out what it's going to cost you to get that dream. First of all, plan, figure it out, count the cost. Second, pay the price. Now you know how much it costs. Actually, pay the price now. Whether it's time, money, effort, dedication, compromises, sacrifices, whatever it is, pay the price. And if you do, then you will reap your reward. You'll get your reward. So I hope that I'm associated with you over the next 4 years. There's no reason not to. I've been associated with you for the last 5 years. I hope I can be with you for 10 more years. But by the end of your education, when we come to train you, because my company is into training, when we come to train you, when I come to meet you, I hope that you guys have done enough that I can come back and say, wow. Remember that time when I spoke to you before you even started your first year, when I told you about the importance of creating a brand for yourself? You've done that. I hope to be able to say that to you. Thank you so much for your time today. I wanted to once again congratulate you on getting admission and starting your career, your educational career here. This new chapter of your life will be great.